Hello, hello. So today I am going to show you some very basic Airtable getting started tips. In the Airtable, you can add a base three different ways. And Airtable bases are similar to how you would think of spreadsheets. It would be like starting a new workbook. So we're going to click Add a Base here, and you're going to see right away that there's three ways to get started. You could start with a template, which personally I rarely do. I prefer to take the data that I have and manipulate it for Airtable, but you do have that option if you're doing something like basic CRM, or Airtable has tons of templates. And if you click that option, it will bring you to all different options. Content calendars are good ones. There's tons of them here, so know that you can start with a template if you would like. So let's jump back over here. The other option is to just start right from scratch. It will ask you to name the base. You could pick an icon if you like, and then when you first open this, you will immediately get your first table. There's nothing named. Um, let me close all these here. It's giving me some help. Just bear with me on that. But this is the basic starting table. These are always the first three fields that are in here. It's just to get you going. There's no reason that you have to use that. So I'm going to, let's just pretend, let's go back here. Since we've already opened that with the other option, let's just pretend like we're going to add a new base again. So we're going to import a spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet I'm going to use for this demo is a typical one that people use to track their sales. This would be, say you've set up a Zap or have some way, some other way to push your sales into a spreadsheet. Lots of times people will do that in a spreadsheet, and then they will do things like, create totals and use some sorting, moving things around to kind of try to see some different insights into their data. But what gets crazy with spreadsheets is, let me just close my little head here. Bye. Is when you want to insert a row, um, move things around. If you had formulas going, now things are kind of out of whack. Let's say that you wanted a sum right here, and you wanted it to be just these three. Now, what would normally happen is you would have to kind of, now you can't really resort your spreadsheet any way you want, because now you've got this sum total here, and moving things around is going, you're going to have to protect these rows to make sure this stays the way it is. And then, maybe you want these rows giving you a total. So you've got all these formulas. So now what starts to happen is you start to become cemented into the structure of this particular worksheet because of how you've got the formulas going. So right off the bat, just doing the most very basic use of Airtable, you can get rid of that type of issue. So what we're going to do is I've used a name generator and an email generator just to get some fake names and emails, and we're going to actually start our Airtable off with importing the sheet. So I've already got it exported, and we're going to say import a spreadsheet, and we're going to choose this file, and I'm just going to drag it right here and click upload. And this is really the fastest way. Is demo 2. This is the fastest way to get data in, because then all of your headings are already in here, and you can start to kind of change things around here. Let me see how I close this. Forget how to close this, but if it pops up again, just ignore it. So now we can call this, because we're not doing any linking between tables yet, let's just call this what it is, and this is some sales data. All right, so we're going to go through, and all we have to do at this point is readjust the type of data that each column here is holding. So for emails, we're going to come in and we're going to change the email to an actual email type field. So those are clickable. We're going to change this to a date field. And you have options here, of how you want this to be. We'll just leave it default. You can include a time field if you like. It's going to give me a warning message to make sure that I know that it might mess with my data, but in this case, it's not going to do that. So we know this is actually a currency. So, whoops, we're going to change this to currency. And you can put in your default symbol. You could say how many decimals you want. Yes, that's okay. All right, so now we've got our currency in here. I'm going to skip over the product one for the moment. And we're going to come over here. Description is fine. They're short. It's, regular single line text field. I don't think we need to change that to a paragraph text. But this one, this is another one that can be currency. Go ahead there. Let's just say, all right. So just within, a few clicks quickly, we can get all this stuff set up the way that we want to see it, and you could start doing some cool sorting and grouping without having that problem like I was just showing in the spreadsheets. So transaction ID is not really going to be useful to us, so I'm just going to delete that field. All right, so now back here to the product field. So one thing, because Airtable is actually a relational database, it's not a spreadsheet. It just appears to be a spreadsheet because of these rows and columns. So people think right off the bat that it is. And I suppose if you were to use it just like this with one table, it would be as close to spreadsheet-ish as you can get. But, it goes way beyond that. So now that we have, we know that there's multiple, oh no, this is not the right field. Let me delete this. I thought this was going to be this one here. So we don't really need to know this part here. I'm going to delete this field. Let's get rid of, now why don't you want to go anywhere? You see what happens here, people? All right, fine, go hide. All right, so description is where we have similar things saying, this is what was sold. So we're going to actually change this into a single select field. So now we have the option of making these colored, which it just gives a little more visual clue here. We could have said no color, and it would just be plain old like this. I like to use colors personally. You could decide whether you want these alphabetized, and it'll automatically do it. All right, so now what we can do is we've got everybody in here, and we can start to set up some things that are more difficult to keep structured in a regular spreadsheet. So now what we want to do is we want to group our transactions by the description field here. So we're going to come up here and we're going to say group by description. And then we can, decide whether we want to do that in order, that's not really important, but skip all that. So now we can immediately see, without setting in formulas and rows that are going to mess up with our structure, it's automatically telling us that we've got 10 sales that were based on the campaign special. You can close these if you like and just go like this. Now we know we've got 2 certifications, 22 email bundles sold, 8 monthly coaching, 4 special product, and 4 training. And then if you want to quickly open this, you could just say expand all. So right off the bat, there you go. And what it's doing also is it's on any field that's a currency, it's already automatically summing those numbers. So you've got all these different options too at the click of a button. I typically find count and sum are the kind of default ones that that make the most sense for what I use it for. So now what you can do is you could save this. We're going to rename this view, and views are just like it sounds. They're different ways of looking at your data. So now this is going to be, let's see, sales by description. All right, so now you never have to rearrange your columns or anything again. You can just keep this. So now let's duplicate this view because we want it to be similar, but now we want to say, let's say total sales, let's see, campaign special sales. All right, so now we want to get rid of all these other ones here. So we're going to add a filter, and we're going to say when the description is campaign special. Okay, so now we just have those. So the grouping doesn't really need to apply anymore. You can put a sort in here by the names. You could do it however you like. And now that we know this is specifically to campaign special, we can just hide this column. We don't even need it. So now you can start to see here, and I think my zoom is blocking, but at the bottom, here's one you could see. You can change these as well, and it will show you what the sum totals are for any of these currency fields. So you could go through, and now you could use this view. You can copy it, and we could say, where the description is certification. And we'll just rename this real quick. Certification sales. So now you don't have to keep sorting and moving things around. You just click right to the view of that particular insight that you want to see. And then let's say that you have somebody that only ever wants to know how many campaign special sales you're making. Maybe you have a colleague or somebody that wants to see that. So we're going to share it. And right here, it's just a private link. You can determine if you want people to copy data out of it or if you just want them to look at it. So we're just going to turn that off. If you want to show all fields in expanded records, and what that means is if certain fields are hidden and you click on it, it would still show that person the hidden field. So I usually leave that off because if I have it hidden, it's probably for a reason. And you can actually embed it on your site and give them a website link to your website instead of the specific Airtable link. And then the data that's showing on the website will always stay updated. Or you could just give them this link here. So this is what this looks like in the web browser. And right here, they can hide fields, they can filter, group, sort, change the row height, all these things here, and print. So you could send this to them and say, hey, here's a link to the campaign special sales. All times it stays current. Anytime you open it, it's accurate. So you don't have people going back and forth with the spreadsheet and wondering what's the current one, by using a created date or last update date. You don't need that. This is the current version of the Airtable. I keep wanting to say spreadsheet. So there you go. That is the most basic way of using Airtable. But even if you were just doing this, I find it to be much faster and simpler to use for tracking just one simple flat sheet on a spreadsheet. So I'm going to stop here, and what I'm going to do is work off of this import and slowly start to build out different things to show you the power of Airtable. And that'll be like adding some more tables and linking them and showing you how you could start to get building into some complex things. So that's it for today. Thank you.